Good morning, gladiators. We are about to play S02. This morning, my friends, we're checking out a classic from 1987, R-Type from IREM Studios. R-Type is generally regarded as one of the best arcade shooters of all time, and some lists have it as one of the best video games of all time. I wouldn't go that far, but it was certainly a monumental success when it came out in the arcades, first of all, and then ported to many different devices, including everything from the Sega Master System and the TurboGrafx right through to the Nintendo Wii and the Android, and I think it's even on the iPhone. So this is a game that has seen many iterations and many versions. The versions that we're playing today is the arcade original from 1987, and it's tough. It's a challenging game. The game's basically a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up where you have a little spaceship and you have to take on the might of an evil alien empire. This game is notoriously difficult, very challenging, so I don't think we're going to get that far today, but I did finish this when I was a kid back in the Sega Master System days, so hopefully that translates a little bit. All right, without any further ado, let us put on our space helmet and fire up our R-Type spaceship and blast off for the stars in R-Type. All right, so here we are playing R-Type, and the version I'm playing now is an arcade port. It's not the original, it's a version in an emulator. But it actually runs pretty well, and it's not too different to what you'd see in the arcade. Although I always highly recommend, if you can find an old original arcade machine and track it down, it's very well worth it. So here's our ship with this iconic sort of blue cockpit there with a giant blue bubble. And like with all shoot 'em ups, the idea is to shoot enemies before they shoot you, like so. And they are known for the difficulty because they were designed to basically take people's money. You know, they wanted to put a quarter or a 20-cent piece or whatever it is, depending on where you're from, in the machine, and you get 3 lives, and then if you died, you put in another quarter. These power-ups, these blue power-ups, are very important. We have this little droid that goes at the front of our ship, and he helps us by giving us power-ups and special weapons and so on. The key to a game like this is kind of mastering the patterns and knowing what's coming up next. And it can be very tough if you're not used to this sort of fast twitch style game. There we go. We got to shoot those little enemies with the red cockpits because they give you the power-ups. Alright. And you want to try and get down low and take those ground troops out as well. Your ship actually gets quite powerful if you can stay alive long enough. You can get some pretty beefy power-up cannons and so on. You've actually got a beam weapon here, which when I hold down the shoot button, you'll notice a little beam counter goes up, and that then releases a giant ray, like so. And that R in R-Type stands for ray, believe it or not. Alright, cool. Now we have some power. Getting a little screen flicker there, which is just an emulation problem. Watch what happens when I do this. I shoot this guy on the blue dot. They all blow up. That's pretty cool. We have some bouncing shooting rays, which actually really helps when you're shooting the turrets on the walls. What's that one do? Ah, right. Awesome. So you can see how my ship is getting more powerful. I've got some a secondary cannon there. And they're not shy about throwing power-ups at us. That can shoot out little missiles and so on. The artwork for this game is actually pretty cool for the 80s. Or even today, this would make a pretty cool indie game. Well, that guy is tough. I remember him being a real bastard. So we've lost our 3 lives, but we can continue again from this spot. Now I had a Sega Master System back in the 80s, and Sega, believe it or not, was actually Nintendo's main rival in the mid-80s. Although Nintendo was way more successful, Sega did have a bunch of cool games, including a port of R-Type, and that's the version that I had. These guys are really tough. Oh! And back in the 80s, games were expensive, and there weren't that many good ones. Oh. So if you got a game for your birthday or Christmas, or your grandparents bought you one or whatever, or you saved up if you had some pocket money, you would get a game and you'd play it for a long time, you know, because they were so few and far between, you got really good at them. So I had R-Type and Wonder Boy and a few other classic Sega games, but I played them so much that I got quite good at it. And I remember being able to finish R-Type without having to continue. And obviously today we're not even close to getting there, but I remember mastering all the different patterns and remembering where all the ships had come from. The Sega version was a little different to this. It didn't have quite as many power-ups. Graphics weren't as good, but the layout was pretty similar. Now we really want to take this guy down because he is causing so much trouble. Hopefully we get past him. It'll be a bit embarrassing if we got stuck today 5 minutes in. You can see how brutally hard this is, you know. These shoot-em-ups, or shmups, as some people call them, are kind of the precursor to the bullet hell game. And if you've seen sort of any of those games with bullets flying around everywhere, you know, to such a ridiculous difficulty that you cannot get past them, this is what they were based on. There we go, finally got him! Not easy. Now we're up to the first boss of the game, and this boss is, as you can clearly see, inspired by H.R. Geiger's Aliens. In fact, the whole game was inspired by the Aliens movie franchise and H.R. Geiger's design. And the idea is you've got to shoot that little guy in the middle. He's a scary looking boss, but he is not particularly difficult. I found those two little guard bosses actually a lot harder. But I remember that alien and thinking, how awesome is this? I drew that many times as a kid. On to level 2, which has a sort of strange kind of blood mass in a jar, and then we could be underwater because it kind of looks like there's alien crabs and so on. Notice all the strange jaws and, you know, arachnid type creatures and crustaceans and horrifying aliens, basically. I was never quite sure if this was underwater or just some kind of alien cave as a kid, and I'm still not super clear. Let's get our little helpful guy. You really want that because you can run into things. Oh no! Tough times. Ready, go! Alright, let's keep going. One of my favorite things as a kid was to go to the arcade and check out new games. And I always wished that R-Type had a two-player mode because two-player shoot-em-ups were so much fun as to play with a kid as a mate, or to play with a friend as a kid. Just because you had that extra player that, you know, if you got in trouble, they could help you out with their special powers, and if you died, they could continue, and then once they died, you could help out. And there was a bunch of really good games that were arcade shoot-em-ups, like Raiden had two-player mode, I think. Xenon 2, I think, which was a Amiga game. There was an amazing game called Tyrion. Tyrion was the name of the game. Nothing to do with Tyrion Lannister, the Game of Thrones character, of course. But it was a really great top-down shooting game, and I really recommend, if you're into these kind of things and you haven't played that, give it a go. You could probably pick it up very cheaply or even free these days because it's 20 years old. But that had a two-player mode where one player would use the keyboard and the other would use the mouse. So you both acted independently, but you could join together to form a super ship where one guy steered and shot and the other guy uses the mouse to steer with a sort of a turret cannon. Alright, so we're only 2 levels in and we're struggling. Because the game only had 8 levels, they made them really tough. Speed power up there. You know, they want you to get your money's worth, right? And I think these days, you know, there are some really challenging games out there, don't get me wrong, like your Dark Souls games and so on, but every game in the 80s was Dark Souls, as far as difficulty. You know what I mean? They were just brutally difficult. Try playing Contra. Contra, you know, unforgiving as hell. It's really tough. You have, and some of it comes down to bad programming. Some of it comes down to just, you know, the fact that they want you to put more money into the arcade machines. Some of it is just the nature of the design, you know. I mean, you look at what's going on here. This is tough. This is challenging. But like all games and sports and so on, I say as I get killed, you do get better at these things. Okay, at least we can continue from this little bit. And you spot the patterns and you learn to get in a bit of a, almost a zen-like state when you're playing an arcade game like this. A shoot 'em up. You know, in the days long before the internet and YouTube and so on, you, as a kid, would play these games and always wonder about what was happening next, what was in the next level. You might see another kid play it in the arcade and go take down this. There you go. Oh no! Come on, I just wanted to get his head. But you would wonder what the next level was and how the game ended, but you may never find out. And so kids would make up stories about, oh, I got to level 40 in this game, and you wouldn't know if it was 40 levels or 8 levels. And they tell you there's a boss that looks like a Ninja Turtle or, you know, a giant barbarian or whatever, and you didn't know whether to believe them or not. Kids could make up anything, and it would be a rumor. And they'd always say about that one kid that was able to unlock a certain, you know, power-up in the game that allows you to blow everything up or make the ship into a, you know, a giant battleship or whatever it is. Speaking of battleships, my favorite level in this game is level 3, the one after this, and I'd love to be able to get to it in this video, but I don't know if we will. But that level basically is a giant battleship, and you start off flying around the side of it, and you have to work your way right up to the front of the ship by destroying all the gun towers and so on. And it's huge. The whole level is one ship. There's a secret level in this game that you can kind of back into, and I remember there was a cheat you could put into this game that made you invincible. Now, once you had the invincibility, of course it made the game not that much fun because the whole point of it is the difficulty and the challenge. But, whoa, give me that, whoa, come back here. Trapped in the loop. But you could back into the secret level, and it was a, oh, we almost got there. We'll keep going. The secret level was cool. It had this sort of terrifying red skull boss. This alien skull boss. And I remember as a kid, really freaked me out. Really terrifying. Now, if you're a game developer looking to make a game, not from a sales perspective per se, but if you want to make a fun, challenging game, try making a shoot 'em up, because this will teach you a lot of what you need to know about making games, as far as it teaches you collisions and enemy patterns and how to make different power-ups and how to scroll screens with parallax scrolling, like background scrolling slower than the foreground, that kind of thing. You can learn an awful lot just by trying to make your own one of these. And I made one years and years ago called Shard Strike, and I never finished it. But alright, here's a giant heart boss. I can't really remember how to beat this guy. Oh, not like that. I think you've got to take those things down when they come out of the heart, but they're invincible beforehand. But we're going to try and get through the next level because I feel like it's possible. Of course it's possible. It's, you know, there are people that have finished this game on one life, you know. And even, as I was saying, as a kid, I was pretty good at this game. Although you wouldn't know it now, right? You wouldn't know it. I enjoy making these Games Gladiator videos. I don't get to do them as much as I used to because the challenges of making my own games really, and the responsibilities of using your time wisely means I don't get to spend that much time to sit back and play some games like this. But you know, whenever I can, I will make them. I'm going to finish up the season in one more video because that will be 40 episodes for the season. The first season was 50, but we're going to go with 40 because I need to knuckle down and work on Spartacus. But the next episode, hopefully I'll do something special. Have a bit of fun with it. Alright. And then we'll have a break for a few months and kick it off again probably for the Australian summer or US winter. Alright, that's good. That was really powerful. Oh, then you can take this thing down. Hopefully we can hide in there. Oh, no! So I know how to beat him. Alright, we'll give it another go. I keep adding credits, just in case. You know, every one of those credits would be a quarter. You know, this would be adding up money. I would have spent several dollars on this game. And as a kid, you know, you could buy a He-Man figure for $8, $9. So you have to use your money wisely. And when you only got 50 cents pocket money or whatever, often you would have regrets spending your money in arcades. It'll be a lot of fun, but what I'm trying to say is you kids don't know how good you got it. You know, getting games on the Apple App Store and Google Play and Steam, you know, for $3 or $4 for massive games is just unbelievable, and still to me it's kind of crazy because if you were to buy R-Type back in the day, this would be $50 US to buy. $50. And it has 8 levels, you know what I mean? And this would have to last you for the whole year. So you want to enjoy it. And you didn't really have much to go by. You'd see some screenshots on the back of a box or read a magazine review if you're lucky, but see if we can hang in here. Yeah, that's pretty cool. We go up here and this is suspicious looking. Ah! Oh! Dead. Ah, oh, look. I've had enough. I don't know if we're going to get past that guy. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because we've had some fun. That, my friends, is R-Type from IRM. And there was, as I said, a bunch of sequels and spin-offs and ports. And if you're interested in R-Type, you can find a way to play it. All right, I'll see you next time for the very last Games Gladiator of the Season 2, and hopefully we'll do something special. Maybe some swords and sandals, perhaps. All right, if you enjoyed R-Type or you enjoy other kinds of shoot-'em-up games, let me know in the comments. Thanks, as always, for subscribing and just being part of the Games Gladiator community and the wider swords and sandals community. I do appreciate you all very much. Until next time, bye for now.